I imagine myself being 80 saying the F word. I'm not kidding.
Hi, I'm Vinnie Corbo with Volossal Publishing, and I'm here with author A.R. Baumann. We have lots of questions for her. Welcome. We're here in my studio in Van Nuys. Thanks for coming by. You came all the way from up north.
Love being here.
And we've done a lot of cool work here together. You are one of my favorite people to work with because we both have that hyper-focused thing, where we start working on a project and we lift our heads up and 6 hours have gone by and you go, oh my God, where did the time go? And then there's, with artists, musicians, whatever, you have what's chemistry.
Yeah.
And I feel like you and I have amazing chemistry.
Exactly.
Just not on the writing, but we've done a couple of photo shoots together, and we did the book cover photo shoots. And we went to
we did the thrift shops.
Right, we actually put that together.
And you got me my cross that broke.
Oh no.
Oh no, I'm so upset. I was wearing it all the time.
Well, I'm sure there's plenty more at the thrift.
For the next book cover.
Yeah, I was showing you earlier that we had props from that shoot, and I haven't. Usually with props you can't keep them too long because that's why you buy inexpensive ones. Otherwise I'd have a warehouse full of
costumes,
props and costumes. So you get them inexpensive, you either rent them, but I just have, for some reason, sentimentally, I can't get rid of those because it was such a great shoot, and it's one of my favorite covers that we did. It's got a lot of cool stuff in it. So one of the first things I wanted to talk to you about is the character of Nick Noelle, and basically right now we have two Nick Noelle books. First one is Under a Cloud of Rain and Thicker Than Blood.
Yeah.
And now you're working on a third one.
Yeah.
And so the story of Nick Noelle can just keep going and going and going, and he's such a dynamic character.
Oh.
First off, it's the guy that women want to be with and the guy that guys want to be like.
Yes.
And I feel that Nick Noelle is that guy. We sort of, as a guy, you kind of relate to him and you want to be like him and his gritty attitude, and you could see how women would be attracted to that. So my question to you is, what parts of Nick Noelle are the man side of you that you put of yourself into Nick Noelle, and what parts of you would like to be with a character of Nick Noelle?
Okay, well, I can honestly say that Nick Noelle, his one-liners are like my father from Chicago. My father was a great man. He was a character. And, he was like bigger than life. He's bigger than life, but he shoots from the hip. He's straightforward. He's not going to lie to you. He's not going to pretend to like you. He'll be fair, but he's not going to pretend to like you. He's sort of, in certain ways, he knows he's stuck, and he finds that out with Sally. Like, Sally opens him up to being a little more gentle, but he's still a bull in a china shop. He's going to mess things up. To be with a guy like that, I was with somebody like that, and it was a lot like my father. I was just too young, and I was too much like him.
And you feel it feels familiar,
right? But it was familiar for me. Nick Noelle is, and the alcoholism. I mean, the alcoholic in him, because I have met men that had a lot of character, but that were addicted to something. Whether, I'm not going to go into all of it, whether it's sex addiction, where they have to keep having a different girl every night, or whether it's alcohol or drug addiction. When I was younger, that's what I found. That's what I ended up with. So
Nick Noelle, in that respect, represents some of the men that you had relationships with.
When I was younger.
Right, okay. Well, obviously. And we'll talk about your current relationship. But we're all kind of an idiot when we're younger. But
we are.
Actually, we're smarter than we are now, or at least we thought we were.
Yeah, right. We're a lot smarter.
Right. But So there's characters of your father, which would make sense because a lot of times we're attracted to what we're familiar with.
Sure.
And so Nick Noelle obviously represents a lot of that. So I could see that maybe he represents the kind of guy that you were at least attracted to when you were younger, and you know that character really well. So it's very easy for you to write that character because you know him.
Right.
Now, what parts of Nick Noelle are you?
Oh, well, I want to shoot from the hip. I'm indiscreet. For a lady, I'm so indiscreet. I mean, my mother once said, "You're not like any of us," you know, being from Texas. I mean, Allison, you're not. And I would just come out with things. And, you know, I don't think it's so cool now being 65, you know. I mean, my kids they said, "Mom, you have such a potty mouth." And I said, it's gotten worse the older I get. And I imagine myself being 80 saying the F word. I'm not kidding. I mean, I say that to my children, and, you know, thank God I don't say it to my grandchildren, you know. I mean, I play with them. I get down on the floor and play with them. But my children, you know, my son loves it. He doesn't mind. But my two girls are like, "Mom." And I really try to be discreet. But, you know, I just...
So part of it is you get to live sort of... Nick, the character of Nick Noelle allows you to live sort of...
just you know, I'm just real.
Yeah.
Just real.
Well, he is. His character is a very... That's why I love the character, and that's kind of... We had this discussion on that the you know, the focus of the book could be the book, but the strongest part... And there's a lot of strong parts of the books, but I really feel the character of Nick Noelle, we could put him anywhere. Yeah. And it's going to be interesting because you created this character that is so dynamic and so unique and such a character. Yeah. Like when you're looking for a character, this is a character. And so we could put him on a boat. We could put him in the Navy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
right. He's just there because he's himself.
Right.
He's himself. He may be shooting, you know, being in the Navy, he may be one of the guys rocking the desk, but he's still going to be himself, you know, swabbing with the ship, you know, he's still going to be himself.
And so putting him in the character of...
And he gets in trouble, obviously, with his elders.
Right. And putting him in the character of a detective is a perfect place for him to be, because you have to... Well, we talk about...
And yet he has honor. I just want to put that in there. He has honor. There's a code that he lives by. Yep. He's not going to, you know, do something that's really against the law. Of course, he does a lot to hurt himself, you know. But
it's one of those characters where he's good to everyone else except himself.
Right.
And who do we know like that?
Well, we're not going to talk about it. You should talk.
I know.
Vinnie, you're the same as I am.
That's what I mean. We are the same like that. That's exactly it. Yeah. So that's why one of the things, so when I look at the character, you know, I fell in love with the character because I completely relate to that. Oh. Nice to everybody else, horrible to ourselves.
Exactly.
And so, that's what I mean. So anybody who, I just think people who read any of the Nick Noelle books, I think there's a lot of people like us. Yeah. And I say, yes, these books are for everyone, but Nick Noelle, I just can see there's could be just a hardcore people that just like the way he is. With Nick Noelle, we've seen him deal with two major stories. One with his wife and an ex-wife, and now the one you're working on. Where is he in his life? Because we're jumping around.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I wrote those two books and they were in sequence. But in this particular book, this is going back to Nick Noelle. It's similar to we did Silence of the Lambs first, and then he did Hannibal, about his earlier life. Well, this is Nick Noelle's early life. We see, as we did in the second book, his mother's story that was put in between different segments of the book. Well, in this book, it's going to be the beginning of Nick Noelle's detecting in Houston, but we're going to go way back to his childhood in New Orleans, and that's going to be interspersed in between how he became the top detective he was. We're going to meet Sally, his prostitute wife, at the very end of the book. And then, of course, he goes on, to the 2 books that follow that I've already written. So this is the beginning of his story.
It's the prequel.
Yeah, and Vinnie here, he asked me, he says, well, Allie says, do you want to write a short story on Nick Noelle? And I started it that way, but it became a book.
And that's the beauty of writing and having the freedom. Because you have a lot of freedom. With Volossal, it's not like, well, you have to do this, or with this did this, and you can kind of, things can develop and evolve. And there's no reason why even the story of Sally could be an offshoot. I mean, there's
sure.
It could just keep going and going, and that's something really cool. So, thank you for coming, and thank you for your candor about Nick Noelle, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of your other things.
Okay, great.
A.R. Baumann.
Hello.
That is Nick Noelle, Under a Cloud of Rain, and Nick Noelle, Thicker Than Blood, and Nick Noelle, secret new book coming.